Well, that's never a good sign. The clutch job that was, supposed to be an easy clutch job has turned into a bit of a nightmare. And let me show you. So after I finished the clutch job, I brought the car out into the parking lot and, tested it and made sure the clutch worked and everything was fine. Parked the car and received this video from Louis a few days later. Apparently, in this bell housing bolt hole, there was still fluid or something. And I don't know if you're going to be able to see it, but there's a crack in the pan around that bolt hole. So I have a spare pan for the car already, so that's not really a big deal. But I was hoping we'd be able to just fix the pan. Here's the spare pan. I already got it in the parts cleaner. I already cleaned it. I'm just letting any remaining fluid drain out of the inside. But when you look at the inside of this, so it's that hole right there. And when you look at the inside, it's in the sump. So it's not going to get repaired. Which is unfortunate because, these oil pans aren't super cheap, but we already have a spare, so not a big deal. I just had to purchase this engine hoist so you can hold it from the top so that I can remove the whole suspension. So I'm going to do the struts, the lower control arm mounts, and the subframe. The motor mounts are already loosened, or I already took the nuts off of the top of it, and the motor is already being lifted a little bit. So I just have to do these two, the two on the subframe, the two on the subframe, and then the 3 nuts holding the top of the coils. Once I have all that out, I can drop the subframe down to about here where I get access to the pan. Here we go again. I've already done this pan once. So here's the new pan, all cleaned, dried, and ready to go in. The old pan is off. The bottom of the motor is exposed. I dropped the whole suspension, took the calipers off, took the wheels off, dropped the struts, took the steering knuckle off, dropped the, oops, it's leaking, dropped the power steering reservoir and the strut on the other side as well. Gave me plenty of room, had to pull the dipstick out as well. Old pan is over here. Honestly, probably good to get a new pan because this one definitely needed to get cleaned. So, ready to reinstall the pan and start putting this thing back together. So it's a few days later. I never filmed any update for it or anything. We actually finished it that day, oil pan wise. The oil pan was easy, but when tried to reinstall everything, as you saw, we never disconnected the coilovers from the knuckles. So when we went to try and lift the subframe with the tranny jack back into place, it was near impossible to try and line up where the subframe mounts to the chassis, because on this side, we had a coilover that somebody had to hold up and line up in place. And then On this side, we had a coilover that somebody had to hold up and keep in place, which when it was just me and Louie working on the car by ourselves, it definitely makes it a little more difficult when you kind of need somebody to line up the subframe, somebody to hold one coil, and somebody else to hold the other coil. I was trying to line it up and hold a coil at the same time while Louis guided the other coil into place, and it was not working. So then finally we had the bright idea to take the coilovers off of the knuckles, which lightened up the whole situation, which made it easier to, maneuver the subframe and get the subframe to go into place. So the subframe is mounted up, the oil pan is bolted on into place, the belt is back on. I have to tighten a clamp on the power steering reservoir, or a power steering line. I have to tighten a clamp on it. I think it's a combination of both this clamp and that clamp, because I do see, let me see if I can get my light up in here for you guys. Ooh, where is it? It's in my pocket somewhere. There is, up in here, you see there is a drip coming from it. So I have a feeling it's leaking in two places. So I'm gonna either replace that line or just tighten the clamps, and hopefully that'll do it. But where I left it, just because I forgot to pick up oil to put in it. I knew I was gonna do the oil pan, but I forgot to get oil to put in it. Brilliant. I didn't want to finish the suspension and put everything back together because there's no oil in the motor. And if there's no oil in the motor, but it looks like the car runs and drives, there's a possibility that somebody's going to, try and drive it out of the shop, which would destroy the motor. So rather than, put it all back together and wait for there to be oil in the motor to move it, I just left it the way it is, with the front suspension hanging and the hoist still on the motor, so that anybody that looks at this knows that it's not done. It should not be moved. And if you are going to move it, you have to put the stuff back together and make sure you check everything before you start the car. So I'm actually not working on this car today. I've been helping my buddy Adam, who you saw in my previous drifting video. I'm helping him with an E46 that he purchased. Now, I know I don't like E46s. They're probably one of my least favorite of the E chassis, but it was a good deal for him, and he is just trying to flip it. So I'm not like building the car for him. I'm not doing anything crazy with it. I'm just basically doing the maintenance for it, because he has never owned an E46 before, and he's only owned one E36, and that E36 that he owns is a drift car. So nothing on the E36 really matches the E46, which makes it a little more difficult to figure out, since, he doesn't know the E36 anyways. So anything he would be doing with the car, he doesn't know about. So I helped him redo the cooling system, gonna help do some brakes on it. And by do brakes, I mean it needs a line. One of the lines that goes over the subframe to the passenger rear caliper has rusted out. So what I'm going to do is, oh, that's what I needed in the container. Sorry, ADHD. So what I'm gonna do is grab my brake flaring tool and stuff of that nature and just see what we can do about replacing a section of that line for him so we can get it to have brakes, because once it has brakes, it should be a pretty nice car. It's got 200,000 miles on it, but you know, if we're being honest, 200,000 miles on a 325 BMW is not the end of the world. It's honestly a pretty good place to start with my convertible. Sorry, you guys are probably being blinded right now. With my convertible, I bought it with like 205,000 miles on it or something, and I ended up selling it with 273,000 miles on it. So don't be scared of high mileage BMWs. As long as the maintenance has been done, or you plan on doing the maintenance, there's really nothing to worry about, and they will last a long time. For example, this car, granted, it's not the original motor for the car, but the motor is what I like to talk about, because it had, when I purchased my first E36 to go drifting, it was a 325 coupe. It had 189,000 miles on it. I drove it over the winter, and then I drifted it in the fall time, and then I drove it over the winter, and I boosted this motor with 195 or 197,000 miles on it, and it has been going and running great for the last, what was it, 6 years now. I believe we turboed it in 2019, and it's been, yeah, so 6 years, and it's been great. The first 4 years I had it at 10 psi, making a little over 300 at the wheel, and then for the past 2 years I've bumped it up to like 14 and a half psi, and I haven't gotten it re-dynoed, but other cars with the same turbo with similar mods and just similar setups make anywhere from like 360 to 400 at the wheel. So conservatively, it probably makes 350 at the wheel, which is plenty for this thing. It'll spin 255s. It's good. It's a good car. So don't worry about high mileage BMWs. Yeah, sorry. Went on a little rant. I forgot what I was talking about there for a second. But yeah, so he's got that E36 or E46 that I've been helping him with. So I kind of took a break from that the E36 subframe job to go give him a hand with just trying to get this E46 ready, because they can definitely be a bit of a pain. I know the chassis is similar in regards to the E36 in terms of the way the suspension is set up and stuff like that, but when it comes to actually doing maintenance and making sure the car is properly maintained, they're definitely a little bit more involved than a normal E36, which is why I always tell people, unless you enjoy doing electrical stuff, just stay away from the newer BMWs. The E46s are, yes, they are great when they work, but when you end up having to track down some electrical gremlin that is keeping the car from running how you want it to run, you're going to wish you got something a little bit older. So we're like 2 weeks later now. I actually hurt my back. Not like doing anything. It was just a matter of overuse and not stretching or relaxing it enough. So I didn't do any car stuff for the past 2 weeks. I just enjoyed my time. I was actually on light duty from work, so I wasn't really even doing much of anything besides just pressing buttons on my iPad. So this thing is still in the same position that it was, which is good. Nobody tried to move it. Nobody tried to put oil in it, which is actually a good thing because I forgot that I hadn't put the dipstick back in the hole in the pan yet. And if there's no dipstick, there's just a hole like this in, like, not the bottom of the pan, but it's like in the sump, there's a hole. So I'm finally going to put oil in it. I'm actually not going to like finish the car and put it back together just because I don't want to. It is like a high of, I think, 20 degrees out today. So I'm not really trying to do work on the car, even though we do finally have heat in the garage again. So that is nice. However, I just want to put oil in it, make sure that the pan doesn't leak. Oh, excuse me. Make sure that the pan doesn't leak. And then next time I come back, once I'm feeling a little more motivated, I actually, in my 2-week hiatus of not doing any car stuff, I also moved from my apartment back into my parents' house. So that was kind of another reason why I didn't do any car stuff. I was in the middle of something. And also, on top of me moving, now that I've moved and I don't have a whole apartment to myself, I don't feel comfortable. I don't feel as comfortable just leaving my dog in the house for hours on end. Just because it's a lot noisier being in the house with 3 other people versus just being in an apartment by yourself. So just to ease her stress a little bit, I'm just taking like half days, making sure that I can get home at an early enough time so that I can spend enough time with her to help her, get used to our new living situation. So I bought oil for this project now. So I'm just going to put the oil in to make sure that A, it's not leaking, and that B, if anybody does decide to put the car back together to move it, that it's good and it's ready to go. So just going to finish putting in the last 2.5 quarts, and that should basically do it for this oil pan swap. Just have to put the coilovers back in, and then make sure the steering wheel is straight and the rack is centered, and we can put the suspension in the front end back together, and that'll be it. What a moron. That shit really pisses me off. I literally just did that with 5 quarts. And I couldn't do it with 2.5. I already put 5 quarts in it. I couldn't just put the other 2.5 in. I had to spill a half a quart. God. What an idiot. I literally just dumped half a quart of oil all over the valve cover and straight down the headers onto the subframe on the motor mount. This thing is gonna smoke like a bitch when it starts up. It's crazy because I'm just trying to fill it. I'm just trying to put oil in. I already emptied that one. Literally doing the same thing. Put that up like this and put the oil in. I did 5 quarts. And then in the last 2.5, I dropped this thing this way. And of course I was recording, so I couldn't just reach in here with my other hand real quick. So when you have the question of, you know, why don't these YouTube content creators record everything that they do? Well, recording makes things way more difficult than it has to be. Look at the mess that I just made, and all I was trying to do is put oil in this dang motor. Oh my goodness, what a joke. And that sucks because I measured it out perfectly in this container to be the 2.5 quarts that I needed. But I don't know how much I just spilled. I have no idea how much I just spilled. I know I have to put the rest of what's in here in there, but I'm gonna have to check the oil to make to see how much more I need. Let's try one more time. And you know, I was just about to make a joke too about how slow it's moving and how crappy it would be if I had to, you know, put in some like 1550 or something right now. This is just 10W30, so it's not that bad in the cold, but that 1550 hardly moves. So could only really imagine how bad that would have been. But that's going to do it for this one. Hopefully the next one I will be driving this car around. Maybe doing some stuff with my turbo car. Who knows? Let me know in the comments what you guys are looking forward to seeing. Maybe working on the Scion a little bit. Maybe get the Scion in here, work on the Scion. I don't know. I'm really up for anything. You guys let me know down in the comments what you want to see. But until then, have a great day, guys.